Our original idea was to build a boat, get volunteers involved and make sure there was some sort of community asset for people to use and make the most of a stunning natural resource.
I liked the way they were using a natural asset that was largely being ignored by communities. Unless you could afford a boat, you couldn't get on the canal, you could walk along it, you could cycle along it, but you couldn't get on the water. And Reunion were trying to address that balance and just make it accessible. And the volunteers that were coming through the door benefited so much from what Reunion had to offer.
We now have 19 boats and we're the largest canal boat operator on the lowland canals of Scotland.
I think it has to do with us being just more creative and thinking outside the box and linking up with different businesses.
Reunion grew up in Edinburgh. We've now started to see how we can replicate our activities from Edinburgh to Falkirk.
So what we've tried to do is sell the boat as a package to agencies. So on a Monday we have our training, which is funded through the People and Communities Fund. On a Wednesday we have National Health Service training, which is funded through the bid we made there. And on the Thursday, Friday we supply resources to the Canal College. So then we focus at the weekends and evenings on selling actual commercial trips.
We have 4 employees and quite a few sessional boat skippers who take responsibility for running the boat. And they're supported by 30 volunteers and they also support those 30 volunteers. The beauty of it is that each new member of staff that comes to work for Reunion really grabs hold of it and drives it to the next level.
When volunteers first get involved, we have regular training sessions, usually every Monday. So a volunteer will come along to a couple of training sessions, then they would come out on a trip and shadow another crew member for the day. Once they've shadowed a few times, then they'd be used as crew in their own right. Every time a volunteer comes on the boat, even for the first day, they'll have a go at steering, they'll learn a little bit. Each time they come out, they'll learn a little bit more.
We have a real mix of volunteers. We have referrals that come to us from social work or the National Health Service, people that have had chaotic lifestyles or mental health issues. But we also have people that love the canal and love boats, so we have a great mix and we really encourage peer-assisted learning. So we have, for example, a retired high school teacher who comes along to learn how to drive the boat, and we have somebody recovering from mental health issues. But it's the person recovering from mental health issues that's telling the retired school teacher how to drive the boat. So they just gain so much confidence, they get a feeling of themselves coming back into society again. We're very fortunate, very few of our volunteers leave forever. They tend to stay with us because they like the organisation.
It's great to be able to mix with a different type of people and learn new skills, and we all learn from each other. So that's been really good. You know, any sort of skills that I've got, I've been able to pass on to other people.
The key challenge for Reunion, and I think any social enterprise, is sustainability. Reunion has to balance its social ambitions, its social purpose, with raising money and trading. A second challenge would be managing our various stakeholders and their different expectations of what Reunion can do and is there for. So from the local authority, the Scottish Canals who operate the canal, to our volunteers or our customers, and also other social enterprises along the canal, how we're engaging with them. Maintaining the quality of our impact is a constant challenge, and making sure that we're monitoring it and understanding how we're doing what we do on the canal, to what end. Perhaps the biggest challenge for Reunion is and has always been the capacity of the staff, the people involved, to run the organisation to deliver our ambition and the model of social enterprise that we're pursuing. So Reunion, when it started, used a fairly innovative social investment model to help get our first boat on the water. We identified there was no way we could get going without that start-up capital to build a boat and to pilot and test Reunion. So we used 3 private investors who put their own money into helping us build a boat. By building the boat and gaining grants and volunteer labour to create that boat, we added value to something that wasn't there. Reunion then got use of that boat for 3 years for free to test the model, at which point the boat then went back to the private investors to sell on the open market and gain a return. Reunion also gained from the profit of the sale of that boat. So there we had proof of a good social investment model. So we realised that in order to sustain Reunion, we needed a bigger boat that could handle bigger groups, which was the majority of the meetings market, the market for venue hire. So in building a new boat of that scale, we turned to more traditional grant funders because of A, the scale of the funds that were needed, but also B, there were changes internally within Reunion, different board members and staff who weren't as comfortable with the risk of going out to find investors to generate the capital to build that boat. And so we lost the initiative on that investment model. However, we were able to successfully raise large sums of money from major funders. However, we have retained our links with those investors, which became invaluable later when there was the opportunity to acquire another business. Yeah. It's critical in the business model now to have acquired that additional business. We've taken a huge risk, and at the time we had big concerns about our capacity. We had to take a decision whether to go and find additional funds to support the core of Reunion and to keep focused on what Reunion was doing, or to go and raise both loan and grant investment to help us go and acquire this additional business. So at the time, we took the decision not to invest in the core capacity of Reunion, but to acquire an additional business. 3 years down the line, and all of the effort has gone into developing and turning around that additional business, the revenue stream we now generate from that additional business is critical to underpinning sustainability and viability of the original Reunion organisation. Reunion would inevitably have become just more of an original charitable model seeking grant funding to do good work, which is fine, but we were a social enterprise and we identify strongly with trading and investment options and alternatives to help us to deliver that social mission.
And I think that any social enterprise, this is always an issue, balancing your social aims and your income generation. And it's keeping that balance and keeping your vision, your social aim in your head while you're income generating, and trying not to get too drawn off your path.
Since its earliest days, Reunion has always stepped up and has been noted locally for delivering on what it says it will do. This has been noticed by key stakeholders at government and local authority level. The Scottish Canals, who operate the waterway, Edinburgh City Council, and others who use Reunion to make sure that they can see change happening on the canal. Up to that point, there weren't the organisations locally making a difference that could partner up well with these major stakeholders in seeing that investment in the canal actually did benefit the community. So us maintaining key stakeholder relationships there has been critical, and we spend a lot of time nurturing our relationships with those local authority partners. Equally, along the canal corridor, we spend a lot of time invested in nurturing a network of social enterprises and other community organisations to create a canal social enterprise network. So the particular challenge for Reunion has been its model of governance and its approach to its business model. By being based in Edinburgh and focused on the communities of Wester Hales and other communities along the canal, there is very much a temptation to look at becoming a community development trust. where we would have greater involvement from local community people in the governance and running of Reunion. That's very tempting for us to become that anchor organisation. We have great community links, people are involved already through our volunteers and in other ways. However, we haven't taken that full step to becoming a development trust. Many of our activities have been community orchards or running a canal festival along the canal, which takes our focus and attention away from the boats, running the boats, maintaining the boats, and potential for more of a business approach, if you like, to replicating that opportunity along the canal. So we balance these two potential options. So we're really learning by doing, testing how we can operate in a new market.
More and more we've become what's called now a community anchor organisation. People are recognising Reunion as a player on the canal. They see the big purple boat, we've now got a wee purple boat, and Reunion's name's been flagged up because we've done an awful lot of networking over the past 4 or 5 years. And people recognise Reunion as an organisation that will deliver what they're saying they're going to deliver. So more and more we're asked to help, for example, the Canal Festival, the events to celebrate Union 10. We've got a local group that came to us. There's a gap site near the canal here that's going to be developed by the council, and the community wanted a voice in how this was going to be developed, and they came to Reunion and asked if we would chair it. So we've been chairing this organisation now for 2 years, and we're talking with Edinburgh Council and various others, the master planners, to try and get the community the voice in this development.
So our staff work with volunteers one-to-one very closely, and from the first day they join us, all the way through their time with us, they're closely monitored in terms of the benefits they're gaining and their progress whilst they're with Reunion. This culminates in our various annual reports and reports to funders and stakeholders, and in our early days we also carried out an SROI, social return on investment analysis of Reunion, which found at the time a £32 social return to every pound invested. Keeping track of our social benefit is crucial to what we do. Our volunteers, our staff and our board all turn up because we want to make a difference. We want to see that social impact. It's the reason for Reunion's existence. And the day that we stop making sure that we're achieving our social purpose is the day that Reunion just becomes a private business. So in the earliest days of startup is a very difficult process to manage, and Reunion has then always relied on the goodwill and energy of various key individuals to keep the organisation going. It's handed from individual to individual constantly. And because we, again, always deliver what we're saying we're going to do, we all are driven so fiercely by our belief in our social mission, we always step up. And often that takes a lot more out of the individuals to keep everything going. Even when you don't have the resource, you find it within yourself in putting in extra hours. And a lot of businesses work like that and require more from their staff, but it takes a heck of a toll on the organisation and on the staff.
When we bring our volunteers into Reunion, we do a baseline evaluation, which sounds very complicated. We ask them to select from pictures if they've got a smiley face or an unhappy face. It's as simple as that in some cases. We take that baseline information and then we review every 6 weeks. And as we see them grow, you get to know them on a one-to-one basis. If they're looking for work, you'll encourage them in a gentle way. What would they answer a question if they went for an interview? How would they answer it? And give them guidelines and tips. We help with CV writing and we give references. So we can signpost, and we actually signpost people to further education as well. We have a volunteer going for computing courses. We've got one going for language course that they would never have tackled before, that we've given the confidence to go forward.
I think the biggest impact will be on the staff who have to keep things running, support the volunteers and market the organisation, market our products, make sure the sales revenue is coming.